Okay, we're live. We're alive. High vibrations, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bringing It Home with C.N. Smith. I am your hostess,
Okay.
Christina Nicole Smith. And so today we're going to talk about all things homeschool related. That's what this show is about. Some of you may know me by my indigenous name, Adelohoski Akatatna'i. And if this is your first time watching the show, thank you for joining us today. I want to take a moment to thank every single person that supports the channel through Cash App. It allows me to continue to bring this important message of homeschooling future generations to the collective. It's truly a blessing, and I'm sending waves of prosperity back in your direction. Also, thank you for liking and sharing our videos. It means so very much to me. All right, so I have an interesting story on how I met today's guest. So last month, Kala Ma'at Amun Ra was doing a live on YouTube, and I called in and asked if he would be a guest on my show. And I let him know what my show name was at the time. Okay, so he could make an informed decision about whether or not he wanted to come on the platform. So anyhow, today's guest happened to actually be watching that live on that day and decided to connect with me on social media on the Facebook page for my show. So once I saw that he was a children's book author and I saw his book, I was like, I have to meet this man. Josuha Seldon is living his purpose, and at such a young age too. This 28 years young, homeschooling, single father of three is a children's book author, podcaster, poet, and content creator. His first book, I Am, is a picture book that features a father sharing how to use affirmations with his children to assist them in creating the life that they want. There's also a section in the book for the young reader to create their own affirmations and write them down. I can't say enough good things about this book. Josuha is a father, son, brother, uncle, cousin, friend, and hopefully an inspiration to other young aspiring writers and parents that they too can live their purpose as well. So let's welcome Josuha to the show. Josuha, it's so good to finally meet you. Is there a delay? Can you hear me, Josuha? Let's see. Let's see if there's some type of audio. Can you hear me? There's something going on with the audio. So, Josuha, I want you to log out, then log back in. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't think he can hear me. So just Josuha. I don't know if there's a lag. Okay, he's logging back in. And okay, so what's happening right now is it looks like Josuha is there's something going on with his end with the audio. So what we're doing is we are having him log back in, and this is what we're waiting on. But in the meantime, while he's doing that, I'm actually going to remove him from the stream, remove, and then have him come back. But anyhow, in the meantime, just a couple of things that I want to share with you. So if you're new to the channel, then you may not know some of the things that I am doing on this channel to help the collective with the children. But you know what? It looks like he logged back in, so we'll get back to that later. Okay. How are we doing? Is that better?
Doing good. Yes, that's better.
Okay, okay, awesome. So now that we have the technical kinks uh, out of the way, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here, and I finally get a chance to meet you, so to speak. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm well, and I know there's a lot of questions that people have for you. So I'm going to be asking you some of those questions, and let's just start it off. Number one, you're a homeschooling father, and you're a
Yeah.
single father at that. And that's a big deal because there's being a single parent, either way, it's difficult. A lot of people feel like it's difficult to start homeschooling. So
hmm
let me ask you this. How long have you been homeschooling?
I've been homeschooling since October of 2021.
Oh, so you're a newbie.
hmm
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
And so when you first started your journey, did you face some criticisms about your children not being properly socialized if they were homeschooled?
Not really.
Really?
I actually had the pleasure of not too many people bothering me. I will say that my aunt, she definitely was a big help because she definitely like showed me like different materials and things that I could use to help my sons be able to grow in the homeschooling environment. And plus, she was a teacher as well, so that was a blessing right there. Just to have her um to be a part of my life. So I was thankful and grateful for that. So the material that she gave me, and then of course the things that I had learned as I was, homeschooling more and more, that allowed me to be successful in doing it. So
Hmm.
I'm thankful and
Okay.
grateful for that.
Okay. So my next question is this: you're a single father. Now, how do you manage your schedule? Because there's not another parent. So, what do you do as a support to that allows you to homeschool your children? Because obviously, I think your children. What are the ages?
My oldest is 7, and my youngest is
Mhm.
3.
Okay, and so how do you? Those are very young ages. They can't stay home and manage by themselves. So, how do you handle the homeschooling aspect? Being a single father and the children being so young, how do you manage that schedule?
Well, they usually wake up every day like around, I would say 8, 9 o'clock. Sometimes the youngest will get up before my oldest son, but after they had got themselves situated, brush their teeth, get themselves together, then as I'm teaching, they be eating breakfast.
Okay.
So it could be something like a smoothie,
Yeah.
or it could be like granola and stuff like that, or just
Yeah.
natural fruit juices. Um,
Yeah.
but during that time, that's when I actually start to teach,
Hmm.
and I do it in I do it at my dining room table. So it's in the beginning, it was a little. I had to get used to it because it's new. It was very
Hmm.
very new. So I was like, okay, I know it's gonna take a little adjustment period, especially for my oldest son, because
Hmm.
he was used to being in the public school, which he wasn't in the public school for long because I took him out
Hmm.
for a situation that happened that's a whole nother story. Um,
Okay.
but once I started doing it and getting the right materials and stuff, I was able to progress as time,
Mm.
even though it's a short amount of time that I was homeschooling, but I was able to progress. Like the small steps became bigger steps. And even now, it might be challenging a little bit sometimes, depending on what I teach. But I'm still learning and growing just as they learning and growing. So we're growing together.
So, what I'm wondering is, do you have employment outside of the home that keeps you away from the children? Because I know a lot of single parents are trying to manage that, or are you able to do your entrepreneurial thing and manage things that way, so you can be more of a presence in the home? How is that working out?
I'm lucky to be able to operate my business while I'm at home.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm
Okay.
thankful. I am
Oh,
thankful. Like
good.
I can operate my business from my laptop.
Okay. Oh, what a blessing. Because I know a lot of single parents are trying to manage the homeschooling and then full-time employment or part-time employment. So you have it
Mhm.
sounds like you have a support system in place with your aunt. And do you have somebody that comes to the home and actually helps you with the children? Or how do you get your break? I'm asking these questions because I want other single parents to know some of the challenges that you may face and how homeschooling may look on a practical level for somebody that is a single parent. So, can you just shed some light on that? How do you get away? Do you have somebody like, does auntie come over and help with the kids sometimes? Like, because you need, to decompress. How does this work? What does your support system look like?
I want to shout out my sister. My
Okay.
sister has definitely been a big support ever since I made that step. Like she tells me all the time, and I talk to her every day. Like me and my sister are literally like twins. We even look alike. So I'm thankful
Okay.
and grateful for her because she gives me like she tells me all the time like whenever you want to be able to get a break because she knows how I feel because she's a single parent as well. So she
Okay.
knows how I feel to be able to raise kids on her own. So
Hmm.
she gives me that break, and I do the same thing for her as well.
That's
Like
beautiful.
whenever she need me to look after her nephews, or not nephews, after my nephews, um,
Yeah.
I I take them off of her hands, and
Hmm.
especially during this past summer last year, I definitely been like in their life a lot more. And I told them, I said, look, I'm gonna be more involved in y'all life because I care about y'all, and I want y'all to be able to learn and grow as well. And
Hmm.
they still a part of the public school system, but
Hmm.
teach them still. I teach them outside of that.
Hmm.
So I'm thankful for my sister because my sister has been a big support when it comes down to whenever I need some time to myself.
Yeah.
She's definitely been there and she showed up on many occasions. So I'm thankful for my sister.
This is a very interesting kind of thing going on because your sister is still has the children enrolled in public school, but you're homeschooling. So how is that? It's two
Yes.
different thought belief systems going on. Why do you think your sister's still doing that? We don't have to
Um,
put her on blast too much. You
I
can
would
be
think.
discreet, but I'm just wondering because if your children are doing well in homeschooling and she's seeing, you know, and she's still loving on your children and supporting you, what do you think? Why does she have hesitancy or concerns? What do you think's going on?
I would say it had a lot to do with like where she is right now, like on
Okay.
her journey, because
Okay.
she works. She
Okay.
works. She works. She worked where I used to work at. So
Okay.
I think sometimes it be a little combative. Like she really have a lot on her plate. So that's why I be stepping in to help her out when I can. And
Hmm.
also with her sons, like it's not really combative because her youngest son he's 6, so
Okay.
he's still young, and he will be 13 this year. So
Hmm.
even that the stuff
Hmm.
that he's learning in school,
Yeah.
he's still able to pick up on the stuff that I'm teaching him as well.
Hmm.
So I'm
Hmm.
thankful that they have that. Both of them have that mindset to where okay, um, I get what the school system is trying to teach me, but also my uncle is stepping in and speaking the truth. Not even just speaking the
Hmm.
truth, but also teaching them things that they need to develop that young mind that they have.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's the perfect segue into your book because your book I Am is geared towards 5 to 10-year-old children, and it's about teaching them the character in the story, which is you, right? you're teaching young children how to say
Mhm.
affirmations, and you say your affirmation as the father in the book, and the children are just sitting there listening to you. And I love that. And so
Mhm.
when we're talking about teaching children the truth and how important that is, let's talk about what inspired you to write this book.
My sons definitely
Okay.
was them because I know, like I noticed that when I started getting into affirmations for myself, because I had went on a healing journey
Okay.
because of some things that I had experienced. So on the healing journey, the coach that I had, he taught me so much about the power of nations. So I took that and applied that same thing that he taught me to my son. I was able to deliver in a way to where they have a better understanding of.
So you're
Oh, can you still hear
freezing
me?
up.
You still hear me?
Now I can hear you. That's better now.
Okay.
Hmm.
What was the last thing that you had heard?
Okay. You said you had a coach that taught you about the power of affirmations. So, like a mentor. And that was the last thing I heard.
Okay. Yeah, I had a life coach, which he has helped me tremendously, especially on my health journey. That's the reason why I had seek a life coach. Because I was at a point in my life where I was like, okay, I need some kind of guidance. So
Mm.
I seek a life coach instead of getting no therapist. Like, nah, I don't need a therapist. It's like I'm gonna go to him. My intuition led me to him.
Okay.
So like ever since then, this was in the same year I started homeschooling. The same year.
Oh,
The same year. So with
okay.
the affirmations that he was teaching me while he was coaching,
Hmm. Hmm.
oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
The affirmations that he was teaching me as I was coaching, again, I was able to take what he taught me and be able
Hmm.
to teach my sons as well. Because it
Mm.
was powerful, the affirmation that he was teaching me.
Hmm.
So I took it and I broke it down in a way where my sons would be able to have a better understanding of it.
Mm.
And I also applied that well.
Hmm.
So I was again. It's a lot of people that has showed up in my life
Hmm.
and has been prevalent in my life, especially
Hmm.
from the start of homeschooling, even before then. But the start of homeschooling, like all of these different people that just came into my life and just poured into me, and I was able to pour into my sons from what I got taught.
That's beautiful. So you said you started homeschooling in October 2021.
Yes,
Okay. So what made you decide to do that?
my oldest son, I enrolled him into a public school. Now,
How old
my
is your
intuition
oldest?
to
How old is
he's
your
7.
oldest? Okay,
He's
that's right.
7.
Okay. Okay.
I had enrolled him into school that school
Uh-huh.
year.
Uh-huh.
Um, and he was only there for a month and some odd weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a situation that happened in the school to where, and it was completely it blindsided me, and to the point where my son was so scared to even talk to me about it that I had to continue to have a conversation with him so me and him can go up to the school. I was like, no, we're gonna go up to the school and we're gonna address this because this is
Mm.
a problem. So the issue was, and was brought to my attention that a teacher had put her hands on my son.
In what kind of way? Like an assault, or was it some other kind of?
I think in the way she was trying to like discipline him
Okay.
in that kind of way.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't like that. I said, no, we're gonna address
Exactly.
this.
Yeah.
So when it got brought to my attention and I talked to my son about it, again, he was afraid to talk about it at first. He was
But I don't
afraid.
like
So I had it was several conversations I had to have with him until he got um comfortable enough to have that conversation with me,
that.
which that made me know that it was some kind of fear instilled in him. That's why he was afraid to
Yes.
tell me.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
when I found out, I said, no. I said, this is what we're gonna do. I said, man, you gonna go up to that school tomorrow, and I don't want you to be afraid, and I want you to
Yeah.
hold your head up high, and we're gonna walk in there, and we're gonna take care of whatever's going on, this issue.
Yes.
So that next day, like when I pulled up to the school, I pulled up to the front of the school, and I parked in front of the school. I didn't. It wasn't no parking. It wasn't no parking space in front of the school. I parked up in the front of the main door of the school. I said, no, we. I said, when we go in here, and I had to talk to him. I said,
Yeah.
son, before we
Uh-huh.
go in here, I
Uh-huh.
don't want you to be afraid. I said, I
Yes.
want you to hold your head up high,
Yeah.
and they can't do nothing to you. If I'm
Mm.
right here beside you, they can't do nothing to
In
you.
600 feet, turn right on 50th Lane.
I said, they're not gonna do anything to you, because when they see me, they're not gonna want to do nothing to you.
Mm.
So me and him walked up in there. I held his hand. I held his hand, and we went
Yes.
into the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was met by someone in the main office, which she was familiar with who I was
Uh-huh.
because she she knew my my wife.
Okay.
So she grew my wife. She grew up knowing this lady because she went to that
Okay.
same school when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "Hey, Mr. Sun, I normally don't see you in here," and I was like, "Yeah." I said, "But this is something that we're gonna have to address today."
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when I said that, and she was like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's talk to me?" I said, "So it was brought to my attention that my son teacher put her hands on him,"
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "I came to address that situation." And she was like,
Yes.
"Well, she's not known for doing that." I said, "I don't know what she known for, but
It
we
don't
gonna
matter.
find out today.
Exactly.
We gonna
Mm-hmm.
find out today." So she
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Okay, okay." So there was another woman that came, and I don't know if she worked in the office as well, or I don't know what she did in the office, but
Mm-hmm.
I automatically knew when this lady came by, she was a distraction. And I noticed it was a distraction before she came to me. I say,
Mm-hmm.
this is a distraction, but I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly how I'm going to carry the situation. So when she
Mm.
came up to me, she tried to take us into the hallway near the front entrance of the school. And she tried to have a conversation with me, oh, hey, I go to this church and I really would love you to come. And I was like, ma'am, I said, I don't mean no harm. I'm not interested. And she walked away. She's like, okay, well, bless your heart. You have a good day. I said, you as well. So I was
Mm-hmm.
nice. I ain't,
Right.
my intention is never to be mean to anybody whenever they come and have a conversation with me.
Right.
So after that, we was waiting for the principal. The principal
Mm-hmm.
came. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when the principal came, she tried to single out my son. Was like, "Oh, you can stand out there while I talk to your dad." I said, "No, you gonna come in. I know he gonna come in here with me,
Mm-hmm.
and we gonna
Mm-hmm.
talk about this. You're not gonna single my son out. No."
Mm-hmm.
So we went in the
Mm-hmm.
office. She closed the door, and she was like, "Okay, so she said, let's talk. Like, what's
Uh-huh.
going on?"
Uh-huh.
So I explained to her again, just like I told the lady when I first came to the school. I was like, it was brought to my attention that my son teacher put her hands on him, and I came here today to address that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "Oh, well, she's not known for that." The same thing the woman said, and I was like, "I don't know what she's known for." I
So
said,
she's
"But
supposed
we
to
are
be
going
known
to
for
address
it
it."
for somebody to do something? What is this? Mess.
With it, I said, "I don't care what she's known for, what you know her for, but I don't know her. So we are going to talk about this. We'll have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
about this."
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of time that we was in there, I would say we was probably in there for about maybe 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
15. So during that conversation, she was interrogating my son. That's what I perceived that to be, because she was like pretty much tap dancing around him with different questions. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, why is she asking him these type of questions?
Yeah.
But as
Mm-hmm.
she was doing it, she couldn't look me in my eye because I was looking her in her eye. And I was like, I wish you would say something sideways to my son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't do it. I can tell that she was afraid to look in my direction, but I was
Yeah.
staring at her the whole time. I said, "Cause you know what you're doing is wrong. You know."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
She felt it. She felt it because at some point in time when I was staring at her, because I wasn't trying to intimidate her, but
Uh-huh.
I did that because I was like, "You're not gonna instill no type of fear in my son. You're not gonna do that,
Yes, like tread lightly.
especially not in my presence. You're not gonna do that."
Tread lightly. Tread lightly.
So after she got
Yeah.
done with the conversation, she wrote it down. She's like, "Okay, so I'm gonna do an investigation." In my mind, my intuition was like, "No, she not. She not gonna do no investigation." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, I said, this is exactly what she gonna do." And this is the conversation that was in my mind as before we even left out the
Mm-hmm.
office.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "This is what she gonna do. She gonna say she gonna do an investigation. 2 days later, she gonna try to call me either the next day or that Friday because it was on a Wednesday that me and my son went up there."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "She gonna wait till Friday and say, oh," I said, "either two things gonna happen. Either she
Yeah.
gonna come back and give me the results of the so-called investigation, or she's gonna push it until that Monday because it's a Friday and the weekend is
Uh-huh.
right there."
Uh-huh.
So exactly what I thought. That Friday, I
Mm-hmm.
got a phone
Mm.
call. Now she
Uh-huh.
said that she called me that Thursday, and she did not call me that Thursday. I didn't get no phone call. She left a voicemail. I said, "No, you didn't," because my hand was right there by the phone all day because I was waiting for this phone call from you. She called that Friday, and she was like, "Well, after my investigation, in my mind, you're lying." I said, "I know
Yep.
you're lying."
Yep.
After this investigation, she was like, "It was determined that the teacher did not put her hands on him." I said, "Well, let me tell you this, dude. Since you failed to
Uh,
do an investigation," and she was well, I'm gonna go back because there was a part I left out. She said that she offered me to switch my son to another class. And I said
yeah.
no. I said, "No, I'm not gonna give y'all another opportunity to put your hands on my son." I said,
Mm.
"So this is how we are going to address this situation. I'm not putting my son I'm not gonna allow y'all to put my son in another class. I'm gonna take my son out of this school and unenroll him. And you have
Mm.
a nice day."
I love that.
That's exactly what I told her. And I stood on that. I was like, "No, because I'm not gonna give y'all another chance to put your hands on my
Yes.
son. You're not."
Yes. I just love that.
So
I love that.
after that point, that's when I said, "I'm gonna homeschool my son because this same thing could possibly happen if I even put him into another school. That's not
Yes.
gonna happen." And I know they keep records of stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, no, they gonna carry that record on like, "Oh yeah, he told his father such and such, 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 such."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he go to another school, they're gonna try to do the same exact
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
So I said, "No, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna give I'm not gonna give you, the school, or any other
Uh-huh.
school in this area another opportunity to put their hands on my son. No."
It's facts. I love that. I love that. I wish this is not, look, y'all, this is not judgment, but I wish more parents would do the same thing, even when it's scary, because you didn't even know how to homeschool, but you were like, you just made the decision because it needed to be
Mhm.
made. Am I right?
Yes.
It's scary. You're
Yes.
like, okay, look, I'm a disenroll my child, but then it's like, okay, so now what? But it's like that sometimes. You just got to
Mhm.
do it because it's like there's this war on the children. It's like you literally have people who have no interest in really finding out what happened. I just read a story about some teachers, administrators. There was a child that was getting sexually assaulted and they failed to report it. And it happened multiple times. And then instead of just dealing, you know what they did? They just assigned these people somewhere else in the school system.
And I
So
read that
this
article.
is the
I read
kind
that
of
article.
mess the children can get, um, violated or whatever. And people would just keep it quiet because that's their friend. That
Mhm.
that must have been the principal's friend. Like they just wanted to speak up for the woman. Well, she's not known for that. So that's supposed to her reputation. It doesn't mean I just get disgusted. Okay, so because I'll just get on a soapbox. So hold on.
Mhm.
Let's reel it in. I'm just glad you made the decision that you made. So thank you for that. And
Yes.
let's get back to your book. So your children were your inspiration on writing the book. And
Yes.
what are some of the things? Let's talk about, you said that the affirmations, you had like a coach or a mentor that showed you the power of affirmations. Are you seeing the change in your son? So once you acquired this new knowledge about affirmations, are you seeing a change in your son's behavior as their thought life improves, as they say these affirmations on a daily basis? What are some of the things you're experiencing?
One thing I'm experiencing is my son has a lot of confidence in himself, and he speaks with power. I
Yes.
love that. I tell my son that all the time. So I love when you're able to express yourself.
Yes.
Don't ever, don't ever not do that. Don't,
Yes.
don't. I'm trying to think of the word. The word was on top of my head, but don't try to subdue that.
Yes. Don't
Speak with
hesitate.
power.
Don't hesitate. Yeah.
Not even just that, but he also able to tap more into his creativity, way
Mm,
more into his creativity. My
yes.
son likes to build. He likes to build stuff. He loves Legos. He loves magnets. He loves
Yes.
drawing. He's my son he's amazing. He's amazing.
Oh.
My sons, I ain't gonna say this son, sons, they are amazing. They're very intelligent and
Mm-hmm.
very smart.
Yes.
And they love to build. They love to
Uh-huh.
build. And both of them are like, sometimes they might be just like, young kids do. Sometimes they might fight a little bit, like toys and stuff like that. But at
Yes.
the end of the day, they know before they go to bed to not only hug each other, but tell each other that I love you before they go to bed.
That's beautiful. There's something about, and this is why your work is so important, because it's like it's the development of growth mindset.
Yes.
Because if you say, well, I can, I I am able to do XYZ. I can be this. I am more than enough. I am more than
Mhm.
capable to handle this situation. And you keep, it's like um, programming for the mind. You're programming the mind. You're laying
Yes.
down new neurological pathways, um, and a belief. Right. This is something I learned before. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again.
Hmm.
So if you're affirming a certain thought, it becomes a belief, and then it becomes a knowing and a way of being and operating in this world. And so it's important for children to learn that at such a young age. And this is why your book is so um, timely, and it's a gift. It's brilliant. I actually have, okay, so look, for y'all at home watching, okay, I have a copy of the book here. Y'all can see it. This is it. Okay, let me see. Here it is. Look. Does that look like Joshua, y'all? Does that look like him, y'all? Okay, and there's the two boys. This book is just brilliant. And then look on the back. See, look on the back. I don't know. Be the change you want to see. Okay, and that's important, because when you are saying, when you look externally out in the world, right? And there's things that you see and you don't like it. I don't like this. I don't like that. Then you must be the change you want to see in the world, because as you
Mhm.
change, right, your circumstances change. And so they're not going to teach our children this in public school. So I really hope the viewers are being inspired by you, Joshua, because that was a different, that was a courageous step that you took to say, well, look, I'll just take my kids out, even without really having a plan necessarily. I mean, you kind of knew it was kind of right. It was kind of like this idea in your head, but it wasn't like anything that was solidified. Okay, so yeah, because so as soon as I get home, I got this curriculum waiting, I got this, I got that. It was just like, it was a step that you just took in faith, was it not?
It was a very huge step. And I'm glad I made that step because I'm able to be even more hands-on with my sons.
Yes. You know, what would you say to, because what happened with your son at school, it's not an isolated incident. A lot of these teachers do a lot of mess that's overstepping their boundaries. Okay, we'll say that. And it's egregious. It's egregious behavior. But what would you tell other fathers or just other parents at that about the public schooling system? Like your experiences, like how many violations were there? And what would you tell parents? Like, hey, you know, these are the violations. This is what I've experienced. It's not isolated. Here's what I suggest you do. Here's my advice. Now, after looking back after what I've done, here's my advice to other parents who are having issues at their public school. What's your advice?
My advice would be challenge that school. That's the number one thing. Challenge them because every day we hear about all of these different incidents that happens in these schools.
Yeah.
And some of them don't even get talked about. The kids be so scared and afraid to talk about it because the fear that's being instilled in them. It's like
Wow.
prison. It sounds like prison. To be honest, it is prison. It's like they get on the bus, come to and from school. They sit at a desk for all of them hours. They go to lunch, and that's the only time they really get to really interact with more kids. That's prison.
Yeah.
That is mental prison.
Prison.
That is mental
Mental
prison.
prison. Yeah, prison for the mind. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is what, if they stay in the system, this is what's going to continuously happen. They are trying to breed these kids to enslave the mind so they can't think for themselves. They can't use their imagination. They can't use their creativity. They're like, do this or else. No. We shouldn't be putting that lock. We shouldn't put no imaginary lock and chain on our kids' minds because they are brilliant. Allow that brilliance to be able to radiate into the world because this is what they came here to do. They didn't come here to be no slaves. They didn't come here to be mentally broke down. No, they came here to be a change. That's why they came here. They didn't come here to be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. No, they got brought here to be able to be taught how, like, guided.
Yes.
They didn't get taught to get like you gonna do it this way. No, to guide them, allow their gifts to naturally embrace,
Yes.
allow their mind to naturally grow, allow their creativity to run wild. Because we heard so many stories about how intelligent our young kids are. They are very much intelligent and they are very much in tune with a lot of things, but we don't give them that credit at all. Some of us parents don't give them that credit. And depending on their situation, because everybody's situation is different. Everybody has experienced something different.
Yes.
Especially if the parents have been through some kind of trauma, which they haven't really dealt with themselves. That can play a role in also teaching their young kids because now they got to deal with that trauma. And on top of that, they're trying to teach. That could be a lot for some people.
So you said that you had been through some type of trauma yourself as well. And you went to search out a mentor. Can you share just go in depth a little bit more about how you did that? So just in case there's somebody else that wants to do that, they're like, look, I know I need help. I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to get better. Can you just share a little bit more about your process to help other people that want to go on a journey too of self healing, and then so they can help their children?
I would say the first thing would be um, when is enough gonna be enough? That's the main thing. Sometimes we suffer in silence. I was
Yes.
that
Yes.
person, and I can say that. I can say that. Suffering in silence, and that's exactly what I was doing because I was backed up against a wall, and I actually want to share my story, the reason why it got to that point. Now, that same year, back in 2021,
Mhm.
in March 18th, my wife had transitioned due to a tragic car accident. Completely thrown off guard because that's I did not expect nothing like that to happen.
Yes.
Not even just that, but my sons were in the car when it happened.
Mm.
So that makes the situation even more traumatizing for them, especially my oldest son, because he saw that. Sometimes when he hear a lot of loud noises, like when he hear airplanes coming over top of the house, or if he hear a motorcycle outside, or somebody that got their car tuned up real loud, it scares him.
Yeah.
So when that me knowing that, every time that happens, I was like, I tell him, come here. And I give him a hug and I tell him it's okay. That's the car, or that's the motorcycle, or that's the airplane, or that's somebody, doing some yard work, or whatever's going on outside. It traumatized him bad. And he tells me all the time how much he misses his mom. And I know
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah.
Now my youngest son, I know that conversation, I'm gonna have to have that conversation with him in the
Yeah.
future. Because right now he's so young, he don't really understand yet.
Yeah.
But he will, because he got a father that's going to be able to break it down to him and help guide him through, just like I'm doing my older son.
Yeah.
Um so with that happening
Yes.
in March, starting off, I did not know what to do. So I was
Okay.
running. I was
Yeah.
running, so I was always like, I ain't really want to be alone.
Mm.
So me and my sons would, like, every weekend we would, go see family and friends and spend time with them. And
Yes.
that was the comfort that we was getting, because that's when the most support was coming in. Because
Yes.
it just happened, it was so fresh. There were so
Yeah.
many people that, you know, my wife had blessed
Hmm.
with her presence. So those same people, they came into my life, whether I known them or I didn't know them.
Yeah.
And there was that security blanket. But that's not to say I wasn't still running though, because it
Yeah.
was a lot. That was a lot to
Yes.
deal with, and I still couldn't. In the beginning, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I kept on asking the question, "Why did this happen?" In the beginning, why? I said, "Why did this happen?" I don't understand.
Yeah.
Um, so after months of running, because that's exactly what I was doing, I was running. It came to a point where I was like, you know what? You have a choice to make.
Mm.
Now, it's another part. It's another part of the story that I'm gonna say before I jump back into that. Um, I left my job of 8 years
Mm.
because I didn't want to be there no more. And the only
Mm.
reason why I stayed there for those 8 years is because I had that amazing woman in my life that supported me. That's how much of an impact she has been. And she also is a reason why I wrote that book. The inspiration that she gave me, because she showed me true love. She was my first true love. She showed me love that I ain't never experienced before, other than my mom
That's
and my
beautiful.
dad. So now, with going back to the job,
Yeah.
there was a situation that happened. It was weird how it happened. One day I was getting off, right?
Hmm.
And I was
Hmm.
getting ready to clock out. I clocked out already, of course.
Hmm.
But I was walking out the gate. Soon as
Hmm.
I got on the other side of the gate, all of these symptoms hit me all at once. I started to feel weak. I was getting chills,
Wow.
like my head was throbbing. So much stuff happened all at one time. And I was like, I told myself I stopped. I was like, I don't know what this is,
Mm-hmm.
but allow me to be able to get to my kids, pick them up, and allow us to be able to get home safe and sound. And that's exactly what happened. I was able to get
Mm-hmm.
home safe and sound, even feeling like that. Now, the next day, come to find out, they said it was the so-called,
Yeah.
COVID, which it
Right.
wasn't.
Uh-huh.
It was just to me, I think it was a minor fever with a real intense headache.
Like a panic attack? Do you think you had a panic attack? Anxiety? Like,
Um,
because your wife had
in
already
that moment,
transitioned, right? By then?
yeah, yeah. This
Yeah.
was like months and months later. She
Okay.
transitioned in March. When
Hmm.
I had when I went through that experience, that was in August.
Okay.
That was like
Okay.
the end of August.
But your
So,
job, you were saying that you wanted to leave your job and so you made some radical changes in your life, homeschooling and leaving your job of 8 years. So
yep.
let's talk about that again, about why you left your job. You said, I just don't want to be here anymore. And then your lighting too. Is there a place where we can get you into some better lighting so the people can see you?
Let me see. Let me see. Let me
I
see.
can see that you're outside.
Is this a little better?
Yes, it's a little better. Let's
Okay.
continue and then I'll let you know. But tell me more about why you left your job. This is important for people to hear because drastic changes are going to need to be made for a lot of people right now at this moment in time
Hmm.
because there's things happening with the system. It's like you got to make some hard decisions about your
Hmm.
employment, what you're doing with school, what you're doing with your food, where you're getting from your food, your living situation. So tell us more about why you left your job of 8 years.
Um. Now going back to when I had got them symptoms.
Yeah.
Um. They put me out for 10 days.
Mm.
They put me out for 10 days. So
Okay.
so during that 10 days, because that was the protocol. There was like anything something like that happened,
Okay.
it's supposed to be
Right.
that
Hmm.
illness that they talk about. Um. They put me out for 10 days.
Hmm.
So during that 10 days, I was by myself. Luckily, I was my son's grandmother. She looked after them for those 10 days. So I'm
Oh,
thankful and
good.
grateful that she was there
That's
to be able
beautiful.
to do that while I
Grandma.
was
Yeah.
nursing myself back. Which it
Yeah.
only took 2 days. It took 2 days because I made sure I had took some vitamin C. I made sure I
Hmm.
was taking my minerals, sea moss. That's another thing. I made sure within those days I was taking it. Day
Yes.
two, everything was gone. Everything. So I'm thankful and grateful for that. That's why I said it was a minor fever with a intense headache, but it went away after 2 days. But in those 10 days that I was out, I was able to make a decision.
Mm.
I was by myself. That was the first time
Mm.
I was by myself for that long period of time in a long time.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
was able to
Ooh.
really gather my thoughts to see what my next
Yes.
move was going to be.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what? The last day,
Hmm.
because that last day was that Sunday. But that Monday, me and my kids, we had went out of town to go spend time with their godparents
Hmm.
that weekend. So I came back that Friday, not Friday. I came back that Monday, but it was late. So I was like, I already know I'm gonna be late for work.
Hmm.
I already know I'm gonna be late.
Hmm.
So I was like, all right. I called my supervisor and I told him, I said, look, I'm gonna be running a little late, but I'm coming.
Hmm.
So while I was thinking about that, the whole weekend I kept telling my god brother, my god sister, I was like, I don't want to be there no more.
Hmm.
I don't want to be there no more. I'm like, why? I'm like, to be honest, why am I still there? I
Hmm.
asked myself that. I said, I don't want to be there no more. I don't have no drive for it, no passion. Um, and they couldn't honor my request to change shifts because I wanted to be able to be with my sons in the evening time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so at this point, I'm not waiting for nobody for an answer. I'm not finna kiss nobody behind to get to get to get that. I said, so there's gonna have to be a major decision that's gonna have to be made. And I was like, you know what? As I was dropping my kids off to their grandmother, I
Mhm.
said, I said, and I ain't going into too many details when I told her, I said, this is what I'm gonna do. I said, if you see me within the next hour, you know I did what I did. Without going into full detail, I said, you know I did what I did if you see me in the next hour.
Mm.
And she was
Mm.
like, you not what to do what I think you're gonna do. I said, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I was like, within the hour, if you don't see me, then you know I'm still there. But if you see me, you know I did it. So when I went there, I was like, you know what? I went back home, and I was like, why am I throwing on work clothes? This is my last day. This is my last day. Why am I throwing on work clothes? So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw some sweatpants on, a t-shirt. I threw on some, whatever sneakers was right there by me. And the workbook bag that I had, I was like, why am I bringing this? This gonna stay right there. All I brought was my badge to be able to get in through the gate.
Yes.
And of course the stuff that I put on. That was it.
Uh-huh.
So I went there and I went straight to my supervisor's office. And I was
Mhm.
like, I said, yeah, I want to. It was two supervisors in there. There was one
Mhm.
supervisor that he had, he'd been a supervisor for a while. And there was another one, he was fairly new, which was my supervisor at the time. So when I went up there and I sat down and had a conversation, right?
Mhm.
I told him, I was like, yeah, I've been thinking about it for these 10 days. And I finally come to the conclusion that I no longer want to be here. I said,
Mhm.
so I'm going to go ahead and resign today.
Mm.
And soon as I said that, a tear rolled down my eye. That's how I knew I needed to do that. I needed to
Mm.
do that for the next phase to happen. It was a new beginning that needed to happen.
I love that. So you
So
didn't
once
have
I
a
made,
plan? Did you have a plan on how you were going to do income, create income for yourself or anything at that moment?
I was lucky to be able to have the resources already to be able to
Okay.
make that move.
Okay.
So
Okay. That's beautiful. Okay.
knowing that I had all of those resources and stuff, I was like, I got a home. I have a
Yes.
home. I don't have to worry
Okay.
about a home. I have a
Good.
car. Don't have to worry
Okay.
about that. And I
Okay.
have monetary resources to where I don't need this job no more. I don't
Mm.
need it.
Good.
I said, all I want right now is my sons.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
And in that moment, that's all I wanted. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen after this point. I'm going to
Mhm.
figure it out. And
Mhm.
I'm going to get guided towards the right direction. And that's exactly
Mhm.
what happened.
Mhm. Wow.
And like my
Yeah.
sister still tell me to this day, because she works at the same job that I used to be employed at.
Yeah. Huh?
She told me all the time like how the people that I used to work with, um, they ask about me.
Mm.
They ask about me because
Mhm.
they miss my presence there.
Positive attitude, huh?
Not even that, but the leadership qualities
Oh. Mm.
as well. So
Mhm.
I joke with her and tell her, I said, nah. I said, that's not what it is. I said they just need somebody that used to work hard like me to come back so they can take advantage. I said, nah. Mm-mm. No, I said, I'm not doing that to myself. I made that decision. I'm not going back. And that's what the supervisor had asked me. He was like, you sure you want to put no 2 weeks in? No, I don't need to. He was like, are you sure? I said, I don't need to. And he was like, man, well, that still can have a window open for if you want to come back. I said, I'm not coming back.
Mm.
I said, if you see me out and about in public, that's one thing. You'll see
Uh-huh.
me there, but you're not gonna see me back in here. No.
You know, your story is very inspirational because people need to make I just feel like I know people right now are feeling that big decisions need to be made. And one thing I learned a long time ago is that change is consistent. And that was hard for me. I used to hate that because you know how if there's something good going on, you kind of want it to be the same. And so change, I had to get used to hearing that, well, change is always going to happen. It's like, no. So this is part of growth. You have to be okay. Change can be scary, but you can do it anyway. And that's a really, really big deal. And I'm just so grateful that you're sharing your story, because changing your employment, leaving, not coming back, that's a big deal right now. Taking your kids out of public school, that's a big deal. Changing the way you are being in this world, that's a big deal. Tapping into your creativity, like finding it within yourself and saying, you know what, I can do this. The world is telling me that I have to do things this way, but I don't have to. And that's where the power is, right? Not conforming and saying, oh yeah, I can do this. Choosing. So what are your what are some of the other projects you're working on right now? Tell us more about some of your projects. I know so you have your book. You just published
Yes.
that. That's a beautiful thing. And you can see on the screen right now, this is where you can get Joshua's book. So I highly recommend that you go out and do that. But what are some of the other projects you're working on right now?
Podcasts.
Okay. Tell us about your podcast.
Now with the podcast, originally, I wanted to bring on different musicians and be able to allow them to speak their mind, just like how the title is, Speak Your Mind. But I had a sudden shift. I was like, you know what? This is the opportunity to be able to create a podcast for a lot of other people to speak their mind about things, not just musicians, but people that's going through the similar things that I'm experiencing as well, or I have experienced as being a single father, homeschooling, and be able to find that creativity and that drive to create something that can be monumental. That will be, not can be, will be monumental.
I like that. I like that a whole lot. I think that's awesome. What's the name of your podcast?
Speak Your Mind.
Speak Your Mind. And where
Yes.
can people find your podcast?
It's on Spotify, and I can't think of the name of the other app, but they work together with Spotify. So I'm gonna say Spotify because they own this other branch company as well.
Okay. So tell us your Instagram credentials. How can people find you on social media if they want to catch up with you?
On social media, for Instagram, my at is Young God, which is spelled YUNGGOD_235.
Okay. And what about on Facebook?
On Facebook, I have two pages. I have my regular page, which is Josuha Seldon, and my my business page, which is I Am Publishing, and not spelled with the letter I, but with the actual I, EYE.
So you said you have a page on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. It's called I Am Publishing, like that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just put that up here. And show that in the comments.
Okay.
Can you see that here? Is it showing? Oh, let me, there. Now, I'm going to go back and just show that for people. So you can see that. This is what the Facebook page is there if you guys want to look up Joshua on Facebook. And we've also seen his Instagram credentials as well. And also where you can find his book, which is, let me go back to that right here. So you can find Joshua's book at iampublishing.com. Is there anything else you'd like to share with fathers, homeschooling fathers, or aspiring writers, publishers, independent people such as yourself, which I like. I like that a lot. Anything you want to share?
I would say just like on the back of the book, be the change that you want to see. Um,
Mm,
you have to show, you have to show the youth in general, not just
mhm,
our kids, but just other kids around us and around the world. We have to show them how important it is to be in their life, be a prominent figure in their life, because as single fathers, it often get frowned upon
mhm,
that we're not doing what we're supposed to
mhm,
do as fathers, which is not true because there's fathers like myself
mhm.
that then took them extra steps to make sure that I'm with my kids all the time. And I know there's many more men out there just like me.
Yes.
So just continue to be the change that you want to see. Because even though you think it's not seen, you're seen. And a lot of people are inspired by you. So continue to be inspired, continue to be inspiration, continue to be motivated, and continue to be motivational. Continue to be knowledgeable and spread your knowledge. Don't hold your knowledge to yourself because
Yeah.
there's many people that's ready to hear what you have to say, and they will appreciate that. Just as anybody that knows me personally will say that I have a calming spirit. I've been told by many people that they feel comfortable being around me. You should want people to be comfortable around you. You shouldn't want people to be uncomfortable around you because that's a problem.
Yes.
That's something that you're gonna have to, you know, tend to.
Reconcile that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's
Yes.
that's a that's an issue that you're gonna have to reconcile. But you should
Exactly.
want people to feel super comfortable around you and be able
Mhm.
to express themselves. Because anybody I've been around, they are comfortable to be able to express themselves. A lot of people tell me like, "Have you ever thought about being a coach?" I said, "I thought about it, but right now that's not what I'm focused on."
Mhm.
So it's a possibility in the future that I could, in the near,
Mhm.
maybe far.
Mhm. Maybe
Um,
so. Maybe so. Yeah.
but continue to be the change that you want to see, and you are appreciated. Fathers that's out here that's stepping up to the plate and
Yes.
don't have to be asked to do it. You don't have to be
Mm.
asked to do it. You're doing it because you
Yes.
know that's what your role is as a father. Do it. You don't have to brag about it.
Mhm.
And us fathers that's as present in our children's life, we don't brag about it. We show and prove every day.
Mm. Yes. Yes. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all the fathers out there that are doing just that. And fathers are needed. And thank you so much. So I want to say thank you to you, Joshua, for
Mhm.
being a guest on our show today and sharing about your just beautiful book, your beautiful children's book, which I highly recommend. Again, people go out and get this book. And then also just for being you and doing all the positive work that you're doing. And that's our show for today. And we'll see you next time on Bringing It Home with C. N. Smith.